From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
A federal judge rules on SNAP benefits for November, how that'll impact Texans, and which organization is still stepping in to fill the gap. And while Tuesday wasn't a big election in our area, the items on the ballot could have a big impact on people. We got a few of those races ahead. A federal judge rules the Trump administration has to pay full November benefits to those on the SNAP program. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mari Farrell. That doesn't mean people will get any relief anytime soon. Thursday, a federal judge ruled the administration defied his order when they didn't find the money to pay the full benefits. The administration asked an appeals court Friday to block that judge's order, which they didn't, and the administration asked the Supreme Court to rule on it. That appeal came even as the USDA sent a memo to states saying they were working to pay the full benefits for November. Some in California and Minnesota have already received a full month's benefits. Meanwhile, lawmakers in New Mexico are being called back for another special session. This one begins tomorrow to extend state-funded food benefits and is expected to last one day. The state released $30 million to cover SNAP benefits even before the administration was forced to release contingency funds. The $30 million will run out tomorrow. The governor is in Brazil for a climate change conference, meaning the lieutenant governor will serve as acting governor during this session. As SNAP benefits experience a delay in benefits due to the government shutdown, the High Plains Food Bank is continuing to bridge the gap for food insecure individuals. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details on how the High Plains Food Bank is continuing to meet the growing need of food insecure people.
An estimated 51,000 individuals enrolled in SNAP across the Texas Panhandle, according to the High Plains Food Bank.
We don't know exactly how many of the 51,000 right now at the beginning of the month missed, but we do know it will start to increase as the month goes along, and so long as the government is shut down.
Wilson shared with the continuing government shutdown, they've planned to feed an increase in people and continue supporting organizations they supply food to.
You know, been working with our funders. We've had a lot of donations already come in. We've had inquiries from people on how they can help.
Wilson says in addition to receiving food donations, the best way to help the food bank is monetary donations, as they're able to stretch $1 to create 9 meals.
And where we can get food from really drives our costs down. And so when you look at those costs versus the funds that come in, we can really stretch that dollar for as much as it will go.
According to Wilson, the food bank is part of a national and state food bank network that allows them to create connection with food resources.
If one has an abundance of resources and another needs those resources, then they will share that with us, and it just costs us the freight to get it here.
Wilson says that everyone is impacted by food insecurity in some way, and the High Plains Food Bank is here to help.
You probably know somebody right now who has either asked for help, that needs help, that is receiving help, or that may qualify or be on a benefits program. That is just unfortunately where we are right now.
Wilson says 1 in 6 people in the Texas Panhandle are in the same boat of needing food assistance. While the government shutdown continues, Wilson says High Plains Food Bank is still helping people find resources and complete paperwork to receive SNAP benefits, as they will resume eventually. Go to myhighplains.com right now to read more of our coverage on this story and see what local resources are available for anyone who needs them. The government shutdown is also impacting flights. The FAA ordered the busiest 40 airports to reduce their flights by 4%, which could increase as the shutdown continues. The FAA says this is for safety reasons because workers have been calling out or working without pay for more than a month now. This is expected to impact small airports who hub into the larger ones like Dallas, Houston, and Denver. That does include Amarillo's airport. Amarillo High School will forfeit 6 football games due to an ineligible player. Friday, the district released a statement saying a waiver to the UIL was denied, and that meant they'd been playing an ineligible player for most of the season. They called the incident unintentional and a clerical oversight and said they regret its impact on our student athletes. With those games forfeited, it leaves Amarillo High football with only 1 district win. Tuesday was Election Day in Texas and New Mexico. In Texas, voters decided on 17 constitutional amendments. All of those passed. We also had some school-related issues in city and county leadership in both Texas and New Mexico. Let's take a look at a few of these races. Those in Borger ISD district said yes to a tax rate change. The overall rate decreases but would help fund safety and security, staffing, and infrastructure. Voters in the Dimmitt ISD area also saying yes to a tax rate increase. Documents show the tax rate will be raised by more than 7%. This raises money for their maintenance and operations fund. They say it will raise taxes on a $100,000 home by $0. Hereford ISD is also approving a tax rate increase. These funds will be used for general operating costs and salaries for non-teaching staff. Clovis Municipal School District is hoping voters approve a bond for their campuses. This measure passes with 54% of the vote. This $20 million bond will renovate the high school. Clovis voters also deciding on a capital improvement tax. You can see 54% is for and 46% is against the measure. 100% of precincts have been reported. Heading to Tucumcari now with municipal school board elections. This is for District 2. Jerry Lopez is the presumptive winner with all of the votes. And now this is for District 3. Mario Chavez Thickums is the presumptive winner in this race with 59% of the vote. Tucumcari voters also deciding on a school bond, This one passes with 69% of the vote. The $3 million bond would not change the district's property tax, but would fund remodeling and upgrades. Let's go to Portales now for their mayoral race. Michael Davidson has 72% of the votes and is the presumptive winner. Portales Municipal Schools with a more than $5 million general obligation bond. This one also passes with 73% of the vote. We got a number of other results over on our website. These are all unofficial results. They will be canvassed soon to make them final. Texas State Representative John Smithee announces he will not seek re-election. He's been serving in the legislature since 1985. His office notes he's been involved in numerous projects impacting our area. Smithee wrote that it was retirement. He and his wife still plan to serve the area in some way. On Friday, Holly Jeffries announced their campaign for the Texas House District 86. A press release noted she's served as a nurse practitioner, educator, and conservative leader. It noted her campaign will focus on agriculture, healthcare access, public education, and workforce development, among other goals. Potter County Judge Nancy Tanner also announces she will not seek re-election. She served in this position for 11 years. She announced she'd remain in office until the end of her term, which ends next December. She noted she spent the past 35 years working for Potter County. She also wrote that it was time to step aside and make way for a new leader. After vehicle wrecks, students hit, and research shunned, TxDOT has an update when it comes to Loop 335. Details on the projects they plan to do and how it'll impact your commute, but focus on safety for the future. Fermi America announces a big step in their process of opening up their big campus. Details on the preliminary decision that was just granted. TxDOT is making new plans to improve safety along the southwest corridor of Loop 335. Politics Today's Blas Guerrero has more on where new traffic lights are coming and when construction could begin.
TxDOT says intersections at FM 2186, Arden Road, Hillside Road, and 34th Avenue along the southwestern corridor of Loop 335 will soon see major changes.
Recently, within the past several months, TxDOT has been conducting a signal light traffic warrant for the southwest corridor at the intersections of State Loop 335. And the results were just recently finalized, and 4 of the intersections on that southwest corridor met at least one of the criteria to install a traffic light there.
The study measured traffic volume, pedestrian movement, crash data, and speed of vehicles approaching those intersections. Bridge says areas near West Plains High School see higher pedestrian activity.
Whenever you go into the traffic light signal study, pedestrian activity is one of the criteria that is factored into that. And so that goes in, that's just one of the several criteria that goes into it. And we do understand there's a lot of pedestrian activity, of course, with the neighborhood that's out there and, of course, with West Plains High School.
TxDOT officials are now developing traffic light plans with construction dependent on available funding. Bridge says until those traffic lights are installed, driver behavior will play the biggest role in safety.
We really need people to do going into that area is know that there's a lot of pedestrian activity in that area, and drivers need to pay attention and they need to observe the speed limit signs. It's state law.
Preliminary approval has been given to Fermi America's Clean Air Permit. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality granted the preliminary approval for the first 6 gigawatts out of 11. Fermi has stated they'll use some power from the grid in the beginning, but eventually build their own energy grid to power next-generation artificial intelligence. The Amarillo Zoo is expected to go through some big changes in the next 6 to 9 months. We'll hear the proposal to turn it into a nonprofit and what that means for the zoo, the animals, and the taxpayers. The Amarillo Zoo could soon become a nonprofit organization that isn't run by the city. It could soon be leased to the Wild West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. The founder, Stephanie Brady, presented her plan to the City Council. We heard from her and 2 of our city councilmen about the decision they're considering.
When we look at the zoo, we see it as an extension of the work we already do. We work with wildlife. We work with hundreds of species here at Wild West Wildlife, and we take in over 3,000 animals a year. And so we just see it as an extension of the work that we already do. A couple species there that we have not worked with, and that would be the lions, the jaguar, and the bears. We've worked with most of the other species between myself and some of our team members that have worked at zoos, including the Amarillo Zoo. So, you know, you have to learn about those different species and what their diets are and the right things that they need and the enclosures and the space that they need, the enrichment. So I reached out to the animal curator at the Waco Zoo, which is the Cameron Park Zoo. They're an AZA accredited zoo for over 30 years to discuss having them come up to do some training with us on that, and also training us the AZA ways on way the enclosures and things like that can be, so we can go ahead and get that accreditation moving forward at some point. But again, all of this is just a discussion. Nothing has been voted on yet, and we would just like to see, you know, the zoo see its full potential. And I think the community, as well as the people at the zoo, I think they would want that for the animals as well.
So between now and the spring is, I think, hopefully when they're going to be able to open, it's going to be able to be cleaned up. There's, you know, the new animals be integrated into it, and as you heard her say, you know, she's used to indigenous wildlife, you know, that's here. And we've got some exotics out there, you know, a panther and some things like that, that she has the ability to learn, you know, the care and that type deal. So really, next steps, I think the next steps is just handing those keys off and letting her come in, clean this up, put their branding on it. And she's got a lot of great ideas, you know, with a gift shop and things that you see in a typical bigger zoo that you just don't see here. So, you know, a good snack bar, so some food, a gift shop, things that generate revenue for them and generate revenue for the city and make it a great place for people to take their families. I mean, and that's truly what we want, is just another place for families to come and ultimately become a destination place, that we have a zoo that's actually on the map, so when people come to Amarillo that they'll want to come see. The zoo, when it's under the city, when we've been doing it, you know, obviously it's in the budget. You know, it's under the Parks and Recreation Department. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say that we had up to $600,000, you know, in the budget for the zoo. So that would, in essence, go away. We've got a subsidy for her to get started. I think it starts at $300,000, and then we go down $50,000 each year to help her to be able to make some improvements, you know, staffing, those kinds of things, and let her ease into it as she builds ways to build revenue. So tax-wise, it's phenomenal for our taxpayers that the burden is not going to be on them. It's going to be on the donors and the people with a passion for animals. And so that frees that up for our constituents.
Currently now, the zoo loses about $300,000 a year. So it's a drain on taxpayers and other resources. I think we are looking at an organization that I think is not only proven that they're very experienced in dealing with animals, but also good at fundraising. And so I think the opportunity to potentially turn this into a nonprofit organization and let people who are dedicated to this, and also with the ability to be able to raise money to run and operate the zoo, could be a potentially good thing for the community. Stephanie and her organization have agreed to talk with all employees that are currently there. But ultimately, it's up to Stephanie to figure out how to run it economically. And so if she takes that over, it'll be her duty and her responsibility to be able to run it in a way that is not losing money, but breaking even. So, I mean, I'm sure she'll look at the employees that she has potentially to hire, but also she has a network of volunteers that are currently working with her organization right now, and I think she also has ability to has shown the ability to get volunteers in the community. So you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, and she's, you know, we haven't really figured out how to run the business at a break even, and so she'll have that opportunity to do that. And
we'll have more politics today after this. Thinking big when it comes to making areas of our city look their best. The City of Amarillo continues their big grant program, and we spoke with a city official about how this program works.
This is the City of Amarillo's third year to do the Business Improvement Grant Program. It was a program that was originally started out of the Neighborhood Planning Initiative between the City of Amarillo and Potter County, and it has grown into a very productive grant program. And this year, ahead of the Route 66 Centennial Celebration, we are specifically targeting businesses along Route 66 and are offering them a special deal that we will add 25% more matching funds to their project if they are able to get that project completed by the end of May, which would be ahead of the Centennial Celebration that starts in June. The program is available to commercial businesses, and I do want to point out that it's not open to just, I guess let me rephrase that. It's open to more than just the Route 66 businesses. All of the same four neighborhoods, San Jacinto, North Heights, East Ridge, and the Barrio neighborhoods are still eligible. We've got our neighborhood empowerment zone commercial corridors of 6th, 10th, 15th, and Paramount are also included in this round of funding. But it's open to commercial businesses that want to do some upgrades to the pedestrian-facing side of their business. So basically think of it as a facade-type grant, but we can do landscaping, signage, windows, you know, things that will help beautify these commercial corridors. Business is in business to attract customers, and so when your property looks inviting and interesting, it makes people want to stop in and see what's on the inside. But we know that the visitation to Amarillo for this celebration is going to increase substantially, and so when somebody's coming to Amarillo for the first time for something like the Centennial Celebration, we want to make a good impression on people in the hopes that they'll want to come back and visit some of the things that they didn't get the opportunity to while they were here. Preservation, there's a lot of history that's in Amarillo, especially because of Route 66, and so we certainly would encourage those who own historical properties or historical signage to consider applying for this grant program and put some energy and breathe some new life into that history so that it can be here for future generations.
We've got more politics today after this.